Tansei, I'm Kristen Achkate. Welcome to APTN National News Daytime on this Wednesday. Extreme cold is currently impacting so many across this country, and it can be a life or death situation for people without shelter. Earlier this month, a fire destroyed the Manwin Hotel in Winnipeg, which has now impacted the Main Street project, causing water and smoke damage. All of this leaving many unhoused people to move to another city shelter without taking any belongings they may have had. APTN's Julia Ross reports.
With the polar vortex affecting parts of the country, temperatures reached -40 and below in Manitoba and northern Ontario. In a media release, Anishinaabe Aski Nation is asking for a declaration of emergency on homelessness in the city of Thunder Bay, stating that the crisis has gone on long enough and people will be sleeping outside in dangerous temperatures and are dying in the streets. Winnipeg saw temperatures reaching close to -50 last week, and lives were put at stake over the weekend as well.
It truly is life-threatening, this extreme cold, and it doesn't take long for someone to succumb to this cold weather.
Siloam Mission helps the unhoused through their many programs: emergency shelter, drop-in meals, hygiene, and clothing room. Siloam's emergency shelter is at capacity year-round, but they have opened a 24/7 warming space and drop-in center.
We normally serve 1,500 meals a day, so that increased by about 600 plates every single day. But we rallied. We're a well-oiled machine in that having extreme temperatures is nothing new, so we start planning already in the summer. And now we have an overnight warming space. Our drop-in doesn't close, so we welcome folks to come to Siloam Mission to be out of the elements.
Marco Ross, Siloam Mission's Senior Development Manager, says that organizations in Winnipeg work together to make sure everyone is receiving the help they need. She says the communication increases when extreme weather hits.
We are constantly checking with each other. Have you got any extra jackets? What about some more pasta? Can you send that over? And volunteers. I mean, it's a really close working relationship because we're all in this together.
Ross says that although they are at capacity, they don't want anyone to be turned away, especially during the extreme cold.
We have, of course, our emergency shelter, just like Main Street project, but it's always at capacity. And so that's all year round. So having a warm place that can take, close to 200 people, sometimes a few more. We're careful. We work well with emergency services that we're not overextending, but we also don't want to turn anybody away.
Siloam's foot care nurses have been reporting more and more cases of hypothermia and frostbite. After looking at some donations, APTN News was shown that the shelter currently has no men's underwear and winter coats are lacking. Ross says that Siloam has been helping more than just the unhoused this year, compared to the past.
We're seeing the number of people who are unhoused greater than ever. The numbers are increasing. We dearly would like to go out of business, and our goal is to end chronic homelessness in Manitoba, but the numbers are increasing. We're also seeing more people coming by for a meal who are housed, but once they pay their rent, there's not enough left over at the end of the month for groceries, so they're coming for a meal or two here at Siloam Mission.
Donations are accepted at Siloam Mission Monday to Saturday. Julia Ross, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
And in Saskatchewan, extreme cold is also gripping the city of Saskatoon. Homelessness advocates are now calling on all levels of government to step up and assist those most vulnerable. CTV's Hallie Mandrick reports.
As temperatures across Saskatchewan have reached dangerous lows in recent weeks, those who help Saskatoon's unhoused population are asking for more support.
We saw one individual whose fingers were falling off. Absolutely. It's just horrifying. It's just horrifying. If I just took pictures of the hands of people alone who are living on the street, and you could see the number of missing digits and missing fingers, it would break your heart. It's just unacceptable.
Card says the current supports available for Saskatoon's unhoused population aren't enough, adding that shelters are a temporary solution and the greater issue of housing in Saskatchewan needs more attention.
We're not making progress. We need to restore the things that April mentioned, like direct payment to landlords, and we need to have a compassionate and dignified treatment of our people on the streets.
According to the province, the Ministry of Social Services does have representatives working in shelters with the goal of connecting those in need with more long-term housing options.
What we find, though, is there's individuals, they require additional supports and may not be entirely ready for housing at that point. But that's something that we're constantly trying to do is where an individual we think will be successful with housing, we will definitely work with them to secure them housing.
Saskatoon's latest point-in-time count listed nearly 2,000 people experiencing homelessness, and a comprehensive evaluation from 2024 determined that more than 80% of those without shelter are Indigenous.
The poverty is overwhelmingly female and overwhelmingly Indigenous, and we can do much better if we put our minds to it and work together.
Saskatoon currently has 3 warming shelter locations which operate overnight, in addition to 9 facilities that are available during the day.
If we have shelters that are completely full, that individual is not going to be turned back out onto the street. We will find an appropriate place for them so they're kept safe especially when it's super cold like it has been.
Hallie Mandrick, CTV News, Saskatoon.
About 200 more people have been asked to evacuate a northern Manitoba First Nation amid a water crisis brought on by a power outage that happened in late December. Pimicikamak Cree Nation Chief David Monias says contractors have identified 73 more homes needing extensive repairs. So far, about 4,400 people had already been displaced, with many evacuees still in Winnipeg, Brandon, and Thompson. Monias says the additional homes are uninhabitable due to electrical issues and damage from flooding and frozen pipes. As of Monday, Pimicikamak's sewage and water treatment plant is still not fully operational, and Chief Monias recently met with Manitoba Hydro for a request for a second power line to Pimicikamak. However, a commitment has yet to be made. We're always looking for your feedback or story ideas. Here's how to continue the conversation with us. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. And to read and watch our stories, go to www.aptnnews.ca. You can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. A notice now for those who previously attended a court-approved federal Indian hospital in Canada. According to the law firm leading the settlement process, the claims process is now open for former patients to apply. Get out your phone or make sure your pens are ready. Here's an update. As of Tuesday, the claims period for the court-approved federal Indian hospital settlement is now open for former Indigenous patients. People who experience psychological, verbal, physical, or sexual abuse while admitted at a federal Indian hospital that was operated by the Government of Canada can now submit a claim for compensation. Depending on the severity of abuse, compensation can range from $10,000 to $200,000. The settlement does not include compensation for medical malpractice or claims connected to medical treatment, and it does not include claims connected to any hospital that is not listed on its website. For more information, go to the website at www.ihsettlement.ca, where you can apply online. From 1936 to 1981, the Government of Canada ran 33 Indian hospitals across Canada. In 2018, former patients filed a lawsuit against the government, alleging the hospitals were riddled with abuse and unfair treatment. Former patients have until July 27th of 2028 to submit their claim for compensation. Homeowners and businesses in the Northwest Territories have few legal tools to remove unwanted individuals from their property, but that could soon change if a new territorial law is passed. If passed, Bill 34 would govern trespassing on private property, schools, and, quote, certain types of private interests on public lands. Trespassing would become a territorial offense, and penalties include a fine of up to $10,000 and 6 months in jail. Politicians say right now, when RCMP are called to deal with alleged trespassers, all they can do is charge them with mischief. At a public consultation hearing in Hay River, some residents said it shouldn't be just the RCMP who enforce the act. Vince McKay represents Hay River in the NWT legislature.
Or you could use a dual purpose of saying, like a peace officer that's authorized to do this type of work or that kind of thing, so that we're not specifically stuck with the one term of like RCMP, right? Because there might be tribal police in a community, there might be other kind of law enforcement in different communities, so not being stuck with just that one term. And something that we've been running into in Hay River is that term sheriff. So we have to wait for the sheriff to come to Hay River to do the evictions.
The Mohawk Council of Kahnawake is offering a one-time inflationary benefit payment. Community members can receive $500 to provide financial relief in response to the rising cost of living. The money will be offered through gaming revenue. Payments will be distributed in May. Kahnawake residents 18 years or older are eligible to register, which must be completed by March 13th at 4 p.m. This can be done by two ways: by contacting the number 514-754-2028, or residents can submit an email to Melissa Jean at plan@kahnawake.ca. The announcement comes just before Prime Minister Mark Carney proposed a similar benefit to Canadians. Under the Canada Groceries and Essentials benefit, a family of four may receive up to $1,890 this year and $1,400 a year for the next 4 years, while a single person may receive up to $950 this year and about $700 a year for the next 4 years. All of this must, of course, still pass through Parliament. More First Nations in Ontario are growing, both in size and financially. We'll have those stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Caldwell First Nation in Ontario is moving ahead with the next phase of on-reserve housing, adding more homes and more space for families to grow. Construction began on Monday on Phase 2 of the Caldwell First Nation's housing development, with 16 new homes going up in the First Nation. The mix of 2 to 5 bedroom homes will bring the total to 44 homes built. They will be designed to meet the needs of both smaller and larger families. Leaders say this is about more than building infrastructure. It's about rebuilding community, stability, and a future. A move-in is expected this fall once the homes are complete. The leadership of a First Nation in Northern Ontario say its recent multi-million-dollar investment is about the future for its community members. But the location of that new property is generating a lot of questions. We get more from CTV's Angela Gemmell.
This is the Connect Centre in downtown Edmonton. It was purchased for $65 million by Wikwemkong unceded territory, a community more than 3,000 kilometers away.
It was bigger than a property acquisition. It was about generating and looking at a long-term sustainability for our community moving forward.
Wiki leadership was made aware of the turnkey property last fall, and even though the opportunity is 2 provinces away, the chief says it will provide financial sustainability for his community.
It offered the strongest combination of value, stability, and growth potential at that time when it was presented to us.
There are already long-term tenants with potential to construct a further 30 to 35 stories for either residential or commercial space. In a post on his Facebook page, the mayor of Edmonton said it's a clear signal that our downtown has momentum. It echoes that the potential we see in Edmonton extends beyond city limits. Investors are also listening and recognizing the opportunities our city has to offer.
This would allow us to put those funds that are going to be generated towards either healthcare systems that some of our band members may be having issues with, some housing developments, not only on but off reserve.
Prior to the deal, the chief did reach out to local leadership in the Edmonton area.
We didn't go into someone else's land to look at acquiring land. This was about relationship building, and I ensured that I communicated that and spoke with those other leaders out there prior to even moving forward with this.
Despite fielding questions from the Wikwemkong community and beyond, the chief confirms there is no buyer's remorse, calling this an out-of-the-box opportunity to generate revenue for his community. Angela Gemmell, CTV News, Sudbury.
2 Indigenous women were among those who were honored for their contributions to Canadian history. It happened at a ceremony at Rideau Hall in Ottawa on Tuesday. APTN's Fraser Needham has that story.
Crystal Gail Fraser is a member of the Gwich'in First Nation in the Northwest Territories, and she was a recipient of the Governor General's History Award for scholarly research. Her book, By Strength, We Are Still Here, looks at the experiences of Indigenous people attending residential school in Inuvik. Fraser says her research was greatly helped by the personal stories of residential school survivors themselves.
There are so many elders and knowledge keepers today who are still in community and just need to be asked to share their stories, which can really add a lot of context and insight and even contradictions to the histories that we read at the archives.
Fraser says although her research brought her in touch with a number of sad stories, there are also many tales of inspiration at the same time.
I would say that the one thing that surprised me, especially when I started talking to family members and survivors, was how they talk about it in a strength-based way. So in my book, By Strength, We Are Still Here, what I really do is theorize Indigenous forms of strength that the children were able to use at these residential schools.
Another Indigenous woman was honored at Rideau Hall. Manuchka Otis is an educator at the École Manikanatish in Ouachat, Mac Maniutinum, Quebec. He received an award for excellence in teaching. Otis is being honored for incorporating Innu knowledge with hands-on experiences of traditional hunting and trapping into a secondary curriculum. A total of 12 Governor General History Awards were given out on Tuesday. Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Ottawa.
We now want to tell you about this week's new web poll question. Over on our website, we ask, are you concerned about your privacy when using TikTok? You can answer yes, no, I don't use TikTok, or unsure. Go to our website at aptnnews.ca to have your say. A First Nations chef in Quebec is whipping up some new recipes. That story after the break. Well, Arlen for staying with us. Flurries in St. John's at -6. Charlottetown, clear skies, -11. Happy Valley, Goose Bay, snow there as well at -10. The Grand River, -23. Quebec City, -16. St. Jovite, -17. Partly cloudy in Toronto at -10. Sarnia, -10. Sudbury, -16. Thunder Bay, -17. -19 in Churchill. Thompson, -21. -27 in Dauphin. Barons River, -21. Sunny in Regina at -15. Yorkton, -26. -30 in Uranium City. -36 in Stony Rapids. Cloudy in Peace River at -2. Fort McMurray, -6. 0 in Red Deer. Edmonton, -3. Rain in Vancouver at 8, Kamloops 6. Sandspit 8, Smithers showers in 3. Old Crow sunny and -24, Mayo -12. Sun's out in Fort Simpson at -15, Watee -12. Colville Lake -21, Paulatuck -31. Baker Lake -27, Chesterfield -23. And Iqaluit -20, Iqaluit -23. And finally for us, at the crossroads of heritage and local flavors, a young Indigenous chef is making waves. APTN's Kim Sullivan recently traveled to Canada's smallest reserve to meet him and sample the flavors he's now sharing with the world.
Ici, c'est mon pain banique.
Once a picky eater, Maxime Lisette now leads a restaurant that celebrates the diversity of tastes in the small reserve of Kokuna on the south shore of the St. Lawrence River.
J'ai été un enfant très difficile quand j'étais petit. J'aimais cuisiner, mais j'aimais pas nécessairement manger les choses qu'on cuisinait, moi et ma mère.
At 11 years old, a young Maxime participated in a culinary camp organized by La Table des Chefs, a non-for-profit founded by chefs who fight food insecurities and promote food education. While there, he remembered his mother, who instilled in him the importance of table manners and the rule that nothing on the plate should ever go uneaten. Faced with a dish of pasta with bell peppers and mushrooms, he remembered his mom's teachings.
Là, je suis comme, ah, mais c'est pas si pire, tu sais. Puis cette espèce de 7 à 10 jours-là de camp où tu goûtes plein d'affaires, où tu apprends à couper, à cuisiner. Donc, ça crée comme une espèce de déblocage. Moi, j'appelle ça une malédiction qui a été brisée, qui a été rompue. Je suis revenu chez nous, j'ai dit à ma mère, j'aimerais vraiment ça que tu achètes des poivrons et des champignons. Je vais cuisiner à souper, exemple, demain.
His mother wasn't the only one to see this breakthrough. His teacher, Madame Pascal, also noticed this new passion of his, and she mentioned Maxime to the owner of a bistro.
Elle me revient un après-midi avec un message. Elle me dit, j'ai dit là, que tu tripais sur la bouffe, tu sais, puis mec, t'as 15 ans, tu iras la voir, elle aura une place pour toi.
He still had 4 years to wait.
Des années secondaire assez difficiles, beaucoup d'harcèlement, d'intimidation, faible confiance en moi. Secondaire 3, en octobre, le 19 octobre de mon secondaire 3, j'ai 15 ans. 2 jours plus tard, je suis dans le restaurant.
Now, 14 years later, he is the head chef of Makwahamuk, a new restaurant in Kakuna, established last summer by the Wolastoqiyik Washpekuk First Nation.
Le mot communauté résonne différemment justement d'une communauté à l'autre. Puis nous, ben, on est très éparpillés. Donc, des projets comme ici, le restaurant, ça vient un peu recréer un ancrage sur le territoire.
Makwahamuk means gathering in Wolastoqey.
Le logo ici signifie vraiment un wigwam, qui étaient les habitations traditionnelles pour les communautés algonquines.
Here, the Wolastoqiyik, people of the beautiful and bountiful river, can have a taste of their culture.
C'est sûr que des entrées qu'ils ne pourraient pas nécessairement avoir ailleurs. On a un chromeski d'eau mort qui est une de nos entrées signature, avec un espuma d'oursins, des oursins qui sont pêchés en face à Kakuna ici.
It's a place where the bounty of the land shapes the menu.
Pour moi, il y a comme un espèce de lien entre le territoire et la cuisine qu'on fait. Moi, j'essaie toujours de cuisiner avec le territoire qui m'entoure, les gens qui m'entourent.
The flavors of the menu vary
On a notre sauce barbecue qu'on fait avec le sirop d'érable de la communauté.
and come from the Washpekuk, the St. Lawrence River, and the Wolastoqey, the land.
Avec le beurre tortue, donc un beurre au chimichurri et aux herbes salées du Bas-Saint-Laurent.
Flavors to suit every taste. And one thing to keep in mind,
Santé!
Chef Lisette is a trained pastry chef, so save some room for dessert, like this delicious Black Forest mousse.
Les desserts, c'est vraiment un trip.
Pride within 4 walls, that's what you'll find at Makwahamuk.
Je pense que c'est un petit peu ma responsabilité comme chef cuisinier qui embrasse ses racines autochtones de porter, pas nécessairement ce fardeau-là, mais au moins cette responsabilité-là de garder la culture en vie. Un petit peu la langue, un petit peu le mode de vie, un petit peu la culture, la philosophie, un petit peu de tout finalement.
Including an open-minded approach to welcoming any young people interested in cooking.
Tu savais comment je les prends sous mon aile, les jeunes, là. Si tu savais.
And what about his old teacher, Madame Pascal?
Pascal Lévesque, je pense que ça s'appelait. À un moment donné, j'aurai un projet, je l'inviterai, j'essaierai de trouver ses contacts, puis j'y offrirai un repas, une bonne bouteille. Mon premier emploi est un peu poussé grâce à elle, fait que j'en dois une.
Gratitude, plated, and ready to be served. Kim Sullivan, APTN National News, Kakuna.
Quite a delicious assignment, Kim. Thanks for that. And that's your daytime. Hi, Miguet Masicho. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next day.